So a friend of mine the other day was sharing how he wants to make a career change. He's tired of where he is at the moment in terms of work, and he wants to switch things up. And so I asked him, like, all right, well, what are you thinking? Where do you want to go? What kind of field do you want to get into? And he mentioned he wants to get into sales. I said, that's awesome. Like I could see that. And he was sharing how he had a conversation with a hiring manager for this organization for a sales position. So that's dope, bro. And he was excited about it, and he was looking forward to the opportunity of potentially going into sales. But he asked me, he said, what can I do right now that can set me up for if and when I get that sales role? Or if not this role, another sales job. And my advice right off the top, I didn't even have to think about it, was start preparing now. Like prepare now for where you want to be later. I think oftentimes we we all heard the saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. But if we start to prepare now for our expectations later, when that opportunity does come, we're ready to go full force into that role. What I told them was consume all the sales content that you can. Go on YouTube, take courses, read a bunch of books, learn how to overcome objections from customers. So when you're in this setting or you're in that position, you might not know it all. In fact, you won't know all there is to sales, but you'll have an overall understanding. So prepare now for where you want to be later. And this is one of my John Maxwell is my favorite author and communicator of all time. In fact, a bunch of friends and I went to go see John Maxwell speak this past summer. Phenomenal. Great communicator. The way he can captivate the room, phenomenal. But he has this quote that I heard him say just a few weeks ago, and it really impacted me, and I want to share with you. He says, your expectation determines your preparation. When I heard that, I thought that, man, it was a game changer for me. Prepare now for opportunities that will come later. Prepare now for opportunities that will come later. And the thing is, rarely do we know when that opportunity will come, right? You never know when you come across the person at whatever, Target, and they're like, "Hey, what do you do for work?" And you tell them and they say, "Oh, actually, I'm looking to onboard or bring in someone who's in sales. Would you be interested?" Now, if you're prepared and you're developing your skills and learning about sales, when that opportunity comes, you'll be ready to seize the opportunity. Sales is just an example, right? The example of my buddy, but this applies to all aspects of life. Oftentimes, I wonder why more people don't bet on themselves. I ask myself, why didn't I bet on myself more in the past, right? Why was my confidence a little shaky? And I think it's because I'll speak for myself. I didn't put in the work to feel more prepared for whatever that risk was, right? Whether it was starting the business or starting the podcast, the question was I willing to put in the work, and did I put in the work so that I can step into that next phase or that unknown space with confidence? And I think oftentimes we don't trust ourselves to take that risk because we know deep down we haven't put in the work to earn that trust with ourselves. Earn that trust with ourselves. Here's another quote from the GOAT, John Maxwell. And I've shared this in another podcast episode, but quotes are a way for me to learn, right? Hearing these quotes or different quotes really helps me. And so in this podcast, you'll find that I share a bunch of them. So I hope you get enough, or I hope you get the value that I get from them. Confidence isn't something you hype yourself into, it's something you earn through preparation. Oftentimes, we'll stay at a 9 to 5 that we're unhappy in, right? But we're comfortable. And I really think the reason why we stay in that comfortable state or stay in that job or stay in that role is because we haven't put the work in to build that trust or that confidence within ourselves to believe that we can succeed if we were to leave. I don't think the question is, can I succeed in a different place, right? If I leave this job, can I succeed here? Really, I think the question is, have I put in enough work? Have I prepared well enough to where I can succeed anywhere? Not can I succeed in a different place, but have I put in the work, enough work to where I believe I can succeed anywhere? Another quote from Abraham Lincoln. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first four sharpening the axe. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I'll use the first four sharpening the axe. Sharpening the axe is a metaphor for sharpening ourselves, right? Improving ourselves. Preparation can look many, many different ways, right? There's many different ways to prepare. Like my boy, I told him who wants to get into sales. Consume as much content as you can about sales, right? Reading, audiobooks, podcasts, courses, conferences, asking questions to people who are in the position that you would like to be in. All of that is great. Ultimately, I think the best teacher is actually doing it, right? Taking action. So, all these things are different ways of preparing, but the biggest one, in my opinion, is taking action. I think I'll speak for myself. I learn best when I'm actually doing the thing that I want to be doing. The major key in this, though, is remember, your expectation determines your preparation. The major key with this is having clear intentions or setting clear intentions and knowing what your ideal outcome is. All right, example. I shared in the past how I used to play basketball, right? I still play here and there, but I played in high school, played in college, and but growing up, I wasn't a really good basketball player, right? I didn't grow up playing organized basketball. I played in the neighborhood with my friends. And at the local gym that I grew up going to with my brother and a bunch of our friends, I was trash. Real talk. Like I would get nervous when I would play. A lot of the kids were older than I was, and I wasn't used to playing at such a fast pace. And I was the guy, right? My brother was pretty good, but I was the guy when I would walk into the gym. I was the guy. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Like hoopers, athlete. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's the here we go. He's gonna be on someone's team. Hopefully, he's not on my team. And I'm not exaggerating. Like that was me. I would get nervous. I would freeze up. My confidence was shot. Right. The guys wouldn't want me on their team, and they might not say it, but the energy was there. Right. And I remember I told myself one night after I was the guy. Literally, I walked in and I heard this guy. Here he comes. I told myself that night. I was like, you know what? This time next year. Matter of fact, by this summer, I'm going to be a much better player than I am right now. And it got to the point to where my mom would drop my brother off at the gym, right? The indoor gym that we used to play ball at. This is in the winter. And she would then drive me to the local outdoor basketball court outside so that I can prepare or I can train, right? So I went on YouTube. I looked up ball handling skills, how to become a better basketball player, different drills that I can do so that I can be a better basketball player. Remember, your expectation determines your preparation. I told myself that summer, this summer, I'm going to be a much better basketball player than I am today. And so my practices or my preparation matched my expectation. My brother and the guys, they're in the gym, they're playing basketball, and I'm outside in the winter doing drills so that come that summertime, I can keep up with those guys. And guys, I improved, right? I was no longer the person, I was no longer the player that guys were like, "Ah, I don't want him on my team." Actually, it's crazy. I was the guy that they did want on their team. And I ended up playing high school basketball, college basketball. And if you would have asked any of those guys when I was in eighth grade, 13 years old, if they ever saw me or the potential of me playing college basketball, they would have said, "Who the guy? That guy right there?" Never. My expectation determined my preparation. I bet on myself because I could trust the work that I put in. All right. Last story for you guys. But this summer coming up, my wife and a bunch of my buddies, we're going to do a Spartan race. So, a Spartan race, you might have heard of it, but it's an obstacle race and a bunch of different obstacles. You got to jump, you got to run, cold plunge, bunch of these different things, right? And I'm actually really excited about it. One of my boys is going to do the race with us. And I'm having a conversation with him the other day. And he's like, "Hey, Brandon, like, how you doing? Like, how you doing, B?" I'm like, "I'm good. How are you? How's your training going?" Because he was telling me that start the new year, he wants to get fitter and he wants to be healthier and all these things. And he started sharing with me that he he used Chat GPT and he created a workout plan. Right? It's a 3-part phase, and each part or each phase is meant to help him do well at the Spartan race. And he says this. He's like, "Brandon, I know it's a hard race, and I know a lot of our friends, they're fit, they're super athletic, and I don't want to be the last guy to cross the finish line." He's like, "I want to be up there with you guys. I don't want to be the last guy. I don't want to be that guy." And I thought it was really cool because I already knew I was gonna prepare this podcast or this episode. And do you know why he's putting in so much work? Why he took the time to through Chat GPT and create these workout plans? It's a 3-phase plan. It's because his expectation is determining his preparation. He doesn't want to be the last guy to finish at the finish line, right? He wants to stay with the pack, not behind the pack. And so his preparation is matching his expectations. And I want to leave you guys with this quote: "Your expectations aren't just hopes, they're instructions for how you should prepare." Your expectations aren't just hopes, they're instructions for how you should prepare. And so, if you're expecting to get that next job, if you're expecting to lose X amount of weight, if you're expecting to get fit, if you're expecting to grow your business or 5x your business or 10x your sales, if you're expecting to be a great communicator, if you're expecting to be a great husband, a great wife, a great friend, your preparation needs to match that. And so, with that being said, if this added value to you, why betting on yourself requires preparation, remember, our expectation determines our preparation. And the more we prepare, the more trust we build with ourselves, the more confidence we have with ourselves, the more willing we are to take risk because we know that we can't just succeed in a different place, but we can succeed in any place because we've prepared. If this added value to you, please like, subscribe, and share with a friend who you think can receive value from this. Also, I would love to hear from you. Please leave a comment. Please leave a comment on what's something that you're preparing for, right? Betting on yourself. What's an area of growth so that you can have more confidence taking risk? Remember, your expectation determines your preparation. So let's start preparing now. With that being said, this is your boy. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.